Angela asked me a couple of things. One is to be provocative, another is to come up with a statement. And then I, of course, behaving as I always do, I came up with a statement, I sent it to her. But then I saw the session title and I thought, let's come up with another statement. Why we need to go beyond excellence? Let me be provocative indeed. I think we need to go beyond excellence because the issue of excellence is not a scientific issue, but a political normative one. And I would add, we're not in the business of politics. So in order to restore the fact-value dichotomy, let's leave the definition of excellence to politicians and let's ourselves focus on different matters. I was asked to be provocative, so okay, here it is. What we can do, however, is to inform science policymakers on what works and what doesn't. And to come up with yet another provocative statement here then, I'm an economist, so I think I'm allowed to do so. Economists are typically well positioned to take part in such an endeavor, that is to inform science policymakers on what works and what doesn't. Why is this the case? Well, economists typically don't care about the nature of the objective function. That is excellence in this case. We have people like Amartya Sen around us who care about the objective function. And this might sound a bit negative, but you could also look at it differently, saying that economists accept that the specification of the objective function itself is highly normatively loaded. Whether one prefers external criteria to evaluate science, like in Science Contribution to Society, as Alvin Weinberg does, or internal criteria to science as judged by its own merits, as Michael Polanyi does, or a kind of mix of these, doesn't matter that much then. What economists then are really relatively good at is finding out how scarce resources should be allocated as to put them to serve a given objective, excellence, however defined. This means evaluating the effectiveness of proposed science policies against the goals ascribed to them by policymakers informing democratically elected politicians, or, if you like, society as large. Or as Pierre Azulay, an economist at MIT, puts it, to put the scientific method on ourselves. I heard Ben Goldacre being mentioned earlier this afternoon. It's in the same spirit, I'd say. Quasi-experimental research, now pretty much in fashion among economists, is well suited to deal with the effectiveness of science policies. Whatever their aim might be, I would add. Excellence, quality, you name it, I don't care. No, it doesn't rule out, I mean, experimental or quasi-experimental research doesn't rule out stochastic uncertainty or random error. But it's pretty good on internal validity, especially, I would say, ascertaining causal structures. And yes, it might have a problem of external validity, but there's a difference between telling the whole truth and telling nothing but the truth. Whilst the outcomes from quasi-experimental research might not tell the whole truth, they might tell us nothing but the truth. All analyses, indeed, are partial. Taken together, I'm not suggesting that, to paraphrase Latour, giving me whatever notion of excellence will make me raise the world of science. Yet science, normal science indeed, quasi-experimental research as an exponent of that, has its rightful role to play in policy making. For science policy, this means that economists can offer important insight given various notions of excellence. And I emphasize given these notions. I think that's the way to move beyond excellence. Thank you.